stay level-headed. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. There are going to be some good highs. There will be a lot of lows.
You feel like you achieved this level, and then I feel like the universe is like, hey, I got something else for you.
There when Kevin was there,
Yep.
Abdul Jallo, Chris Matthews, Fat Cat, those guys. They don't understand it. If you do it passionately and continue to do it for the right reasons, they may not understand it, but it'll put a bug in their head. Every time, every year, kids go from like this, like this. Now they're like, Now they're asking questions. I think I look at training as like an entry-level job, getting into like the business of basketball. And no disrespect to anyone at all, because you can make a lot of money training. So all the trainers out here, I'm not putting you down, but players doing. I think film studies should be more important in training at a young age. I think that companies, they're making so much money. There's so much revenue being generated just off of Instagram, off Twitter, off going to these events. Look at Paul George, he can barely stay on the court. All these guys can.
He need to just be a podcast.
He needs to be right here with you and talk about his experience.
Welcome to Game Related, where we highlight opportunities and obstacles from former athletes with the thought process of giving future generations a better understanding about the game. These conversations are meant to bring awareness to the hardships and opportunities of the game. Let's get game related. All right, y'all, we back with another episode, man. I got my guy, Brian Inge, in the building. Brian has been a staple in the community, in the DMV area for quite some time now. He's bringing awareness to athletes of the transition, from playing to the real world. Does a lot of basketball events, does some training, and he has a clothing brand called TakeOne Sportswear.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that today, man. So welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you, man. How you been?
I've been good, man. Cold outside, but won't complain.
Yeah.
Holidays, happy to be here, man.
So you think like somebody had this in order from the beginning?
Make the style go a certain way, but then how I just, at the end of the day, people still got their own coaching styles, right?
Yes, sir. Cool. Nah, glad to have you. So, first question we always ask everybody is about handling success.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to get ranked or be in the limelight, but once you're in it, it's a different animal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Talk about what advice would you give to a parent or a player on handling success?
I would say just stay level-headed. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. There are going to be some good highs. There will be a lot of lows. So that's life. That's not just basketball, as we all know. And just keep the right people around you. Keep the right focus. Keep the main thing. What I've seen through my time, and also my time at post playing and also playing coming up, a lot of people try to cheat the process, and they want just the glamour and the things that the bells and whistles, the things that come with being successful, instead of accepting and enjoying the journey. And there's a lesson in the journey. The present is a presence. The present is a present, right?
Yeah.
So keeping that the main thing and enjoying that. And if you'll look back, and I can say I'm a big advocate of this, you'll look back on everything that you went through and like, wow, like those were really good times, and I really learned something and made me who I am, and it got me to where I want to be now. And you'll realize that where you are now is just another step along your journey. It never ends. You're always learning. You're always getting better. But keeping the main thing, and staying focused on the things that are really important, like God, family, your craft, whatever that is, and just becoming a better person.
Nah, man, I feel you. Like the more you jump into something, right? It's like you feel like you achieve this level, and then I feel like the universe is like, hey, I got something else for you.
No, absolutely, and we'll humble you. Get too high. Right? That's why you got to stay even keel, man. Stay even keel for sure.
Yeah, man. So speaking of it, man, talk about what has the game of basketball taught you in life?
Resilience. The game of basketball has given me something to keep my mind level when things were in chaos around me. The game of basketball has been at times my best friend, my worst enemy, my girlfriend, my biggest op. You know what I'm saying? But it's been something for me that's always been there, and something that I can always lean on. As I've gotten older, as you got to learn to put the ball down and lean on other things.
Yeah.
But the game of basketball for me has been something that has given me pretty much everything in my life. I've met up some great people. I've learned a lot of things. I've been able to help a lot of people, experience a lot of things that I would have not experienced, go places that I would have not been able to go to. Like I recently This past August, had the opportunity to go to Portland to Nike. I would have never been able to do that if it wasn't for the game of basketball. So things like that, man, just being appreciative of those experiences. And basketball has been great to me.
That's nice, man. I wanna go back just a little bit into your playing career.
Mhm.
Was there a time? Obviously, you said basketball was your op at one
Mhm.
point, right? So for me, there was a time where I fell out of love with basketball.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Have you experienced that, and what did you do to get out of that situation?
Oh, absolutely. Two times I can think about right now. One was in high school. So I went to Bishop McNamara for 2 years, played freshman in JV, transferred to National Christian,
Mhm.
and I was there when Kevin was there,
Yep.
Abdullah Jallo, Chris Matthews, Fat Cat, all those guys. And going there, I realized like, oh, I mean, I was okay. I was pretty solid. You know, I ended up going to a Division II school, but you know, Kevin Durant's on the team, right? Deron Washington's on the team. Mike Beasley was there for a second.
Right.
Leave the shooters there. So it's like these guys are, you know, the creme de la creme. And at that point, I realized, like, man, this might not work out for me. So just going through the hardships, not really being confident in my abilities, not knowing, you know, adolescent, you know, not being sure of myself, kind of fell out of it, fell out of love for a second, quickly snapped out of it. But I think after college, which I think is a blessing in disguise. So I had the opportunity through all my struggles and triumphs, even coming from a small school, had the opportunity to try out and almost made an NBA G League team. I was the last cut. Super excited, proved things to myself that I was good enough to play at the highest level. Came home, I was waiting for a job overseas. Well, I got an opportunity to play. I think I was about to sign a contract in Germany, second division. Fell through. It was around November, December now. Still motivated. January comes around, I'm still home, living in my mom's basement. And then I remember I was like, man, the game don't love me. I remember texting my trainer at the time, Keith Williams. I was like, man, I love the game, but the game don't love me. And you know, I remember literally in the gym working out with Joey Butler, who is Lamar Butler's younger brother from George Mason. And we had our routine. We were getting started, making our 5 spots. I got to like the third spot. I was like, man, I'm done with this. Went home, put the basketball down, decided to go back to school, get my master's degree. Reached out to Chris Monroe. Was like, hey, I don't know what I'm going to do. I saw you guys had him on the show.
Yeah.
I said, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. Can like you put me in touch with somebody who can help me?
Yeah.
So talked to one of my mentors. I ended up getting a job, an internship with the federal government. Got another internship working at DC Parks and Recs, which gave me access to a gym to start training. The thing just kind of just took off. So like that was one of my lowest points, but ended up being a super blessing in disguise.
Oh man, that's so cool to hear.
Yeah, people don't know that about me, man. It was a real low point, but it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I'm a piggyback onto that because the next question is transitioning out of basketball, and obviously you kind of just explained your story, but why do you think so many of us have a tough time with that transition?
It's a complicated question. The first thing you got to think about is where we come from and what we're seeing every day as children. We're blessed to grow up in PG County where we're seeing so many different pro players walking around. I mean, you can walk around even today, probably walk around see someone that played professionally in some type of sport. We can touch Victor Oladipo, Kevin Durant, Ty Lawson, all those guys. You can see you know, Anthony Cowan or Jeff Doughton, who's a two-way player for the Sixers. You can see all these guys in WCAC, IAC. Caden Lewis, who's a top 30 player. Cam Ward, who's a top 50 player, about to go to Michigan State. You see so much talent and success that you think this is normal. It's not normal. Like it's not normal. But with that, we're so pigeonholed on being athletes.
Right.
And even though we grow up in the DMV where we're blessed as African Americans, and not just African Americans, but we're blessed with so many resources to do other things, we use those resources just to stay pigeonholed in one thing. And that's, for most of us, it's the game of basketball because we love it and we see, oh, we can be successful at it if we just work hard enough. Instead of saying, I can work hard this way, but I can also work hard on a different skill and craft, and I can learn this and that. But we just keep our mind on the one singular thing. And I think that hinders a lot of players when they get to the point where the ball stops bouncing. We don't have a plan. For me, like I said, I didn't necessarily have a plan, but I was blessed to at least be inquisitive enough to ask for help and have people who wanted to help. right? And I think for a lot of us, we have those opportunities, we just don't leverage that. So I think that's another thing. We don't leverage the opportunities and resources we have. We become lazy in seeking knowledge and information because all we want to do is hoop. I want to be a pro. I want to be a pro. I want to do this. Okay, all right. Well, what happens if you don't be a pro? Let's say you make it to be a professional basketball player. What next?
Yeah.
You know, it's just we have to change this the way we think around here, and I think that comes from not just the players and the parents. Parents play a big role as well, but the support system, like your coaches, your trainers, or your mentors, whatever. You got to have the right people around you who are instilling those values. Like for me, the players that I mentor, the players I come across, I always talk more about outside of basketball more so than the game, because like you said, around here you're gonna be, if you're good enough, you're good enough, and you're gonna continue to work on your game. So don't even have to worry about that. But what do you want to be outside of basketball? What's your long term goal? Who are your mentors? Did you watch Shark Tank? Things like that. What's like what do you really want to be? What do you want to be remembered as? That's what I tell kids. What do you want to be remembered as? If you're always want to be remembered, if you're going to be remembered as just a basketball player, then you sold yourself short.
Yeah. Man, exposure is so key.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk about maybe some outlets or some platforms. I think you have, is it career sim?
Yeah, the Sports and Business Career and Transitioning Symposium.
Like, talk about that and why you formulated that and how that's going.
And so I started that with Blake Bozeman, the late great Blake Bozeman in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a point where I was just starting to get to do everything that I really wanted to do with basketball, meaning coaching at a high level, training at a high level, doing events not at high level yet, but training in that direction. And I still wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting everything that I ever wanted, and I wasn't happy at all. And then Blake Bozeman, who was one of the college players that I was training, he had just graduated, and he had started the Pivot Group, and he's always been keen on like the business side. He was he was way beyond his times. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I had already had the idea, but I was like, I want you to help me with this. And he was all in. So we got a panel together. I think in the first panel, Chris Monroe was on the first panel. I had an executive, well, someone who worked in marketing with Under Armour. I had a financial advisor, and a real estate agent, and I want to say a college coach. I can't quite remember it at this point, but we just put it together because we wanted to really like show that you can be more than just an athlete. That's always been a thing. Like you can hoop, but like do something with it. So the first one was at Bishop McNamara in 2017. We stayed there the first 2 years. Mm-hmm. Then we moved on up to Bowie State. We did some workshops during COVID. Then we shut down for a year or two, and then we were bringing it back last year with Bowie State. Didn't work out because they had a new chair in their sports department. So we brought it back this year, and right when we were in the middle of like planning it, he passed. Mm. So I kept it going. Clearly, it was a great turnout, and the next one is supposed to be February 13th at Howard University. Okay. Still trying to put the finishing touches on that, things like that. But that's how it got started.
That's crazy. I want to go back to the conversation about us pigeonholing ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Like during the pandemic, like 2020, is really when I really got into stocks. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot. Mm-hmm. And so now, like, I'm not gonna say I'm a master or anything, but like I really like understand this thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the ability to sit still and focus and learn is something that I see that we struggle with.
Yep.
You know, as a society, as a culture, because there's always so much stuff to do, and you always got your homework. Come on, let's go do this. Let's
Absolutely.
Go do that. But being able to learn how to focus and sit still and observe something and absorb it, you know, is something that as much as we throwing information, like they gotta be able to receive it.
Yep.
You know, and that's something that I haven't figured out how to get to that point to teach that. Mm-hmm. But like that's something that I can see as a focal point. You know, I don't know how that's going to get there, but like that's something that, you know, when we talk about these panels and things, like giving out good information, but making sure that they're absorbing it and then applying it. You know,
what I found is a lot of times, and I used to get so upset because like, man, they're not receiving the information I'm giving. Like they got to get it. I used to tell my wife, the time she's my girlfriend. Like, they don't understand how important this is. And I would get so mad. She's like, well, you can't get mad at people for not seeing things the way you see it. But what I realize is if you just put the information out there in a way that's digestible, but also, even if they don't understand it, if you do it passionately and continue to do it for the right reasons, they may not understand it, but it'll put a bug in their head or something like that. And then they might
plant the seed.
They plant a seed, and then they'll hear it from somewhere else, or they might see it on TV. Then they'll have a little bit better understanding. Then they might do their own research, and then so it's a trickle down effect. And that's what I've seen. So like same with you, like someone put the bug in my head about stocks probably when I was like 22, 23, and I'm sitting in these meetings with financial advisors, and I'm like, what is going on? But it lit something in me that I was interested. Still didn't understand, right? Kept working. Someone else came to me with some opportunities and information. Learned more, did my own research. Then I met someone else, learned more, did things. Now I'm starting, like you, doing my own investing, things like that. And same thing with like the symposium. When we did at Bowie State, you know how we are as athletes when we're in that mode. They don't want to be there. They just like, man, coach got us here, man. I don't even, like, what are we talking about, man? I'm trying to go, oh, man, I got my girl, yada. But after a while, every year, kids go from like this to like this to like this. And now they're like, Now they're asking questions, and so it's just like just putting information out there. And that's why I love what you guys are doing, because you're putting the right information out there. And like I said, everyone might not receive it Monday, but maybe by Friday they'll hear something. Now it connects.
Nah, man, I'm really happy on what you're doing, and you know, obviously, you know, we haven't really connected like that, but you know, y'all definitely got our full support on that, man. I think that's amazing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
I want to go back to Blake Bozeman, man. Rest in peace. You know, talk about, you know, his relationship and how you guys were, and you know, this opportunity to honor him for a hot second, man.
Well, I'll start off by saying Blake was one of the most impressive people that I've ever met in my life. I used to tell him all the time, I'm like, man, you're gonna be a billionaire. It's gonna be a race between who we there first between me and you. And I used to joke about that, but I really believe he was destined for it. I remember in COVID, he had his real estate business. He already had a consulting job. Then he had another one. Then he started a vending machine business. Then he was doing this. I was like, Blake, how are you doing all this with 2 kids? And you're like, how are you doing it? And I'm like, because I'm a person who's a go-getter as well. I was like, there's no way I could do all these things. But that's just who he was. His mom and dad did a great job with him. So I met Blake between 2010 and 2012, going into his senior year of college. I had just started really training, I won't say at a high level, but I had relationships with some college guys. So he was part of that group. Marcus Thornton, who won Women Marries all time leading scorer. Chris Martin, who's training now, he was in college. Pishawn Howard, who was at University of Maryland. Justin Austin, who still plays professionally. I had a great group of college guys along with my young kids. And like, they weren't paying me nothing like that. It was just, you know, they were some guys who used to train under me when I was still playing. And I'm like, come get a workout in. And he just started, he wasn't one of those guys, but he was friends with them. He came one day and just never left. And then we grew a relationship. And then after he finished playing, he kind of just, you know, he said he didn't want to play anymore. Most wanted to go play professionally. He said, no, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to do that. And then we kind of started building our relationship there, to the point, you know, I considered him not even just like a guy I used to train or a colleague. He was like one of my best friends. Like his wife, I still talk to his wife to this day. He was up here. His dad, I saw his dad recently. I still talk to his dad. His uncle, Todd Bozeman, I saw him, what's today, Tuesday? I saw him Sunday. He was actually one of my first coaches when I was in the 5th grade. Okay. So I used to tell him, like, we were just destined to be connected. And Janae, Nikki was in my freshman, his other cousin was in my freshman class or freshman homeroom at Bishop McNamara. So it's like we were just always tied together. But go back to your question. I met Blake, you know, early mid 2000s by chance, and then we were just locked in since that first day.
Man, that's cool, man. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man. Great man.
So, man, let's talk about training. You know, like, what inspired you to get into training, and how did you, you know, first jump into that lane?
I think I look at training as like an entry level job, getting into like the business of basketball. And no disrespect to anyone at all, because you can make a lot of money training. So all the trainers out here, I'm not putting you down. But for me, that was I grew up seeing my trainer, who at the time was Keith Williams. Master trainer taught me a lot. Taught me the philosophy of training. My first philosophy taught me a lot of good things that kind of stuck with me. But that was my first vision of saying, "Oh, I can do something with basketball besides playing." And like that's what got me started. And then I started with a lot of young kids who are now close to 30 years old, which is crazy. And then I just wanted to train. I viewed it as something to keep me involved with the game, but I also wanted, like, man, I want to do basketball full time if I can't play professionally. I think this is the way for me to do it. I quickly realized that it wasn't going to happen that way. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, what's next? So again, always wanted to learn and be better. I realized, okay, maybe I should get into coaching. Then I used my relationship with training to going back into Bishop McNamara, where I coach. Well, I started at Deanwood, IDEA Charter. I coached there as a head coach for 1 year. Quickly realized I didn't want to be a coach.
Right.
But I wanted to still be involved and be on my journey. So I went to McNamara. Right. I was there for a long time. And then I realized that wasn't going to fulfill what I really wanted, which was to kind of help people, but also provide myself to fill that hole in me, that passion. I had an opportunity to start the DC Blue Devils. At one time, we were able to go from independent to getting a shoe deal. We had a #1 pick. The only team around here that have a #1 pick around here, I'll say that.
Hey,
shout out to Blue
talk
Devils.
heavy.
You know, and then from there, I realized like there's more I wanted to do. I started doing events that continued to grow. Then, like I said, I realized it was more that I wanted to do. Then we started the symposium. So training was like I said, for me, it was the entryway into the business of basketball.
I love that, like good gateway. You always hear gateways in the negative side.
Right.
That's a good one. Okay. So, man, talk about some of the common mistakes that you might see players or trainers do, within the training. Training culture is highly scrutinized.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So just talk about the common mistakes that players make when they're training, and also the trainers when they're teaching.
So I say the players, the mistake they make is, for one, they'll go to 4 or 5 different trainers, right? And training, if you look at it from you go back in time, like a dojo, somewhere where you're getting better, you're owning your craft.
Yeah.
But if you're going to different places all the time, you're getting different influences on your game, which aren't negative. I want to say that they're not negative, but they're different. So as a young kid, how can you digest everything and take the right thing? How can you master anything, right? And also the one thing, like I said, we're in the DMV. Everyone is training the tween west side, behind the back, all that stuff. Our kids don't need that. You're not. If you look at it in the NBA right now, and there is a shift going to be happening, but it's threes and layups and defending, right? 4 or 5, maybe 10 guys will have the ball to bounce, do what they want. If you watch Kevin Durant now, he's not even doing that anymore. He's jab, pump fake, 1 dribble pull up, 2 dribble pull up, back to the basket, turn around J, keeping it simple. So I think our players, we need to keep the game simple. The players need to keep the game simple. Our trainers, I think we've got so much ability. Again, we grew up in an area where it's easy to find success playing the game of basketball, where you can see, like, no, if you work hard, if you do this, you can get to where that player is. And that very well may be true, but every player isn't the same. And I think over time, we've gotten to this cookie cutter model of training. So it's like, we're going to train you the combo moves, and we're going to train this and that. And I think that you have to kind of specialize what each player is doing. I think film study should be more important in training at a young age. I think that we should do more just hooping, like letting the kids just play. That's why, run and shoot back in the day when we came up, that was huge. And that was great. But I think we need to do a better job of kind of just like getting away from the cookie cutter model and just keep things basic and more game reps. When I train, we do a lot of game situation type stuff. And I don't train a lot of kids anymore. For one, I don't have the time. But two, like, I really want to lock in with the players I'm with and show you the right way. I tell them, like, I know you're going to 2 or 3 other trainers. You guys are training all the combos and stuff like that. I'm going to show you how to implement them in the game and what will work, what won't work. And then I'm going to go to your games and show you and talk to you about what I saw, what you can do better. Then we're going to watch the film, and then I'm going to tell your dad what I saw, and then we're going to have a conversation. And then I'm going to let him implement it, because at the end of the day, you're not my kid. That's that's your family and stuff like that. It's up to you. So, but that's what I'm saying from the training, and just we have to, for the trainers and the big homies, and we all mean well for the kids. We really have to, I think, and this is from my heart right now, we need to really stop emphasizing so much the game. We need to emphasize life after basketball, and if we don't necessarily have the avenues to put these or talk to these players intelligently about things outside of the game, which is fine, put them in touch with people who can. And that's what I always try to do. And because like I don't have all the answers. I have some of them, but if I don't have them, I'll try to find those answers for you. So I think we need to do a better job of that.
Yeah, delegation is very important, and I think at times when we don't have nothing else to offer, we try to hover, right? And I think that's a big mistake. One of the things that I've always questioned with when you are training, 'cause I've done some training myself, is the trainer developing, right?
Exactly.
And like the trainer will kind of hold on to the kid and hope that he continues to grow. But like when that kid gets to this platform, there's gonna be 1,000 other people that can expose him to so much other stuff. So I feel like the trainer should be learning, like these symposiums that you have, like can you show him what to do with real estate? Can you help him with his credit score? Can you show him some stocks? You know what I'm saying? Like now you're bringing value outside of just being a basketball trainer.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. You hit the needle on the head. I mean, and I think by opening yourself up to that, and like saying, no, I don't have the information, but I'm gonna put you in touch with somebody who has it. Here, go to them and let me know what they say, and what I'm saying, then y'all can have a conversation. That leads to a level of comfort and confidence that he really cares about me more than just a player, right? Because like so many good players and trainers around here. Like you can't try to hold them. They're going to leave. They want to leave. Like they're not your kids, right? I hear some trainers say like, "No, my kid." Not your kid. It's not our kids. But we care about them like they are our kids, which is great, which is absolutely amazing. But they're not our kids. So by just putting them in positions to like to be exposed to like the stock market and economics. Like one of my players, like I was talking about Jeff Dowden. I was talking to him about stocks and bonds, and I had put him with a financial advisor. And now we're having conversations like, "Hey, did you see this? You might want to invest in this." And I'm like, "What? Did you see this?" And we're having that type of dialogue. But it all came from me putting it with someone who I thought could help him. That I thought like, he's asking me like, "What do you think I should do?" I'm like, I don't have the answers, but I know someone who might. Go talk to him, and if you like him, cool. If not, what I'm saying, well, let's have a conversation. Let's figure it out. And I think that's what it should be more about, just putting our players in positions to be successful outside the game, which will in turn lead the players to be more confident and comfortable with you, and like they won't leave you. So if they have the opportunity to make a living playing basketball, and they have a role for a trainer or a film guy or something, they'll think of you. Or if they get a tip on some business, they're like, hey coach, I don't know what you got going on, but you might want to look at this. And now it's life is a recurring circle. So now you trying to help them. Now they reaching back like, "Hey coach, I'm doing this. I don't know what you got going on, but like, come with me." You know what I'm saying? So that's just doing the right thing, I think, and opening yourselves up and not being so, I won't say insecure, but like opening yourselves up to, letting people grow. They'll come back. If you're a good person, we all are, they'll come back.
Yeah, great point, man. I love that. So, man, I want to get into your sporting events. Talk about the first one that you threw, right? And I want to know what challenges did you have on your first couple ones that we got to hear.
Great question. No one's ever asked me that. Great question. So my first event ever, and I will never forget this, it was at Deanwood Recreation Center. It was called the Deanwood Summer Jam. I had Stacey Robinson on the mic. I had all my guys who were still hooping at the time. Father and Campbell, Shaq was playing. Who else? Big Shaq, Jay Gavin, who's the head coach of Bishop McNamara, played. Jamal Board, Silent, rest in peace, put on a show. I got the film. No one's ever seen it. Him and Shaq was going back and forth for like 6 minutes straight, they probably hit like 15, 16 threes in a row. I'll put the film out someday. It was insane. And then I had under a class game. Blake Bozeman played in that game. Marcus Thornton played in that game, and I had some local guys from the community play. And that was my first event. And the challenge I had there was really just pumping it and getting people to come out, because I didn't know what I was really doing. I just knew like, oh, I want to do an event, and it went well. Packed it out, which led me. But I did that with DCPR, DC Parks and Rec. So I didn't have too much to say. It's like putting it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had the gym. All I had to do was find some refs. Didn't really have to pay them. Didn't have to have like a business license, anything like that, because I had DC Parks and Recs, and just hope that people would come and show up, and they did. But that first few events outside of that I really did myself, I started a spring basketball league. I did it at Run and Shoot. At the time, it was Athletic. No, it wasn't Athletic Republic yet. What was it after Run and Shoot? It was
Man, that joint
that's what I'm saying, man. But,
I know where you at.
You know what I'm saying? But whatever it was, so I did it there. I remember trying to think like, how am I going to get these teams?
Yeah.
So I remember running up in Largo High School, trying to find a coach. I don't know how they let me into school during the day. I found myself where the coach was teaching the class, Lewis Howard, knocked on the door, and he's looking at me like, I'm like, yo, will you play in my spring league? He's like, bro, what? And then I remember like going to Bishop McNamara and asking Coach Keefline if they would play. Just going to different schools, really just going out there and just touching people. Like I would just say, like I was really hustling out here. And then the first event I had, I'll say that's my first real event. Only had 6 teams, and I put a team in. So, and Westlake put in 2 teams. So it really only had like 3 teams in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the day of the event. Oh, and I Spingarn played. I remember he asked me for a receipt, and I'm like, okay. Then I just wrote it up on a piece of paper, and he's looking at me like, but I didn't know how to do business. I was figuring everything out on the fly. So I was having challenges like putting my business together, figuring out what I need to do. I didn't even have refs for the first game, so I had to postpone it. But it was tough. But I went from that event where I only had 6 teams to now when I do events, I'll have over 120, 130 teams. And that's with me putting a cap on it, really having to kind of like scale back. Mm-hmm. So, but like early challenges is just not having my business together. I didn't have a business ID. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know how to put together like the financial paperwork. Yeah. I didn't know anything about the marketing and branding. I was just hustling. But I will say, with anybody who has an idea and vision, and they tell you put a business plan together, that's cool. But at the end of the day, just do it. You'll figure it out in a way. You'll figure it out.
Man, experience is always the best teacher.
Mm-hmm. You're going to fail, but it's rather to fail early than to fail late.
And to fail forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. My favorite question I tell my kids all the time is like, man, I had a guy tell me a long time ago, man, the person who makes the most mistakes usually wins in life.
Yep.
And he was like, the key is, what did you learn from the scenario, right? Mm-hmm. But like, when you don't be scared to fail, every time you fail, really, your capacity grows, and you're getting that much better.
Mm-hmm. You know? No, absolutely. Yeah. No, I definitely failed that first one, but I made it work.
Nice, man. So, there's always these different themes in basketball, right? Mm-hmm. Right. You get the folks who tell you rest, right? Players need rest, right? And you're throwing all these events. Mm-hmm. What would you say to the people who are like, man, players need to rest, but like to counter that with your events, like, when they may be like, oh, it might be in the springtime, might be in the summertime, like when the players need to rest, like what was your counter to something like that?
It's funny you say that. I had that exact conversation about the same time yesterday with Darius Business from Bishop O'Connell and Shane Pendergrass. He goes to Harvard Military, and I was telling them, like, man, you guys are like highly regarded prospects. You got the world in your palms. Got to find time to rest. And I said this verbatim. I say, even like I'm someone who does events at a high level, and I'm telling you, it's not good for you to play in so much basketball. You got to find time to rest, recover. Also, be a kid. Mm-hmm. Find time to get stronger, because that's really key. Mm-hmm. Get your yoga and Pilates and stuff in, and find a time. I think it's tough because we're in an age where with social media and the marketing and branding with the NIL stuff behind kids, that it's so much money being made, not just from now the kids are making money, but these companies, they're making so much money. There's so much revenue being generated just off of Instagram, of Twitter, of going to these events. It's a fine line. Like some events are necessary, some are not. Like I was telling them, in July, it's like a live period, the big time and stuff like that. If you're going to commit, if you know where you're going to go already, just be done with it. And not, I'm not saying sit out and don't play. Play in the events that matter and mean something. Don't just play, because you know how it is in July. You have now they have your shoe sponsored championships and stuff like that. But then you also have these random one-off events and stuff like that, and where your team might be getting paid to go, or you might there might be some backhand deals going on behind it. And I know from past experience I've seen where it's like I was coaching and then I was told, no, this kid has to play because they paid us to come to this event because they're on our team. And I'm like, nah, like why? No, I'm not doing that. So it's like sometimes you have to find the balance. And even on my event schedule, people ask me all the time, why don't you do more live period events or AAU stuff? I'm like, for one, like it's tiring,
Yeah.
and two, I just don't believe that you need to be playing so much.
Right.
Make it count. Work on your craft. Be a kid. Work on your hobby. Find a true passion outside the game, and relax some. There's one kid recently who came up. He didn't play AAU all throughout high school, Bryson Tucker, who's at Indiana right now.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege of working with him for a couple summers. And his dad had a very unique way of looking at things. And I didn't necessarily agree with everything, but some things really stood out. And I'm looking at, and one thing he said to me that really made sense was like, when my son gets to college, he's not going to have all this wear and tear on his body.
Fresh.
He's going to be fresh. And you look now, I mean, look at Joel Embiid, he can barely stay on the court. Look at Paul George. He can barely stay on the court. All these guys can.
He need to just be a podcast.
He need to be right here with you, talk about his experiences. You know what I'm saying? But all these guys, you get to college and you're breaking down because you're playing so much basketball. And you're not recovering. Like the human body is great at rejuvenating itself, but you don't overload yourself all the time.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I was being long-winded. I'm still trying to find a balance. I think some events are necessary. Some platforms are necessary that actually give you the exposure you need. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it can be overkill. Like for the elite prospects, you're going to go to the Nike Academy. You're going to go to Pangos. You're going to go to Adidas Zero Camp. You're going to go to the Under Armour Elite 24. Mm-hmm. And then you have your high school team camps. And then you have your regular circuit events. Then you have your whole group Jam Fest. And you have my spring warm-up event. And then we do the locked in All-American Showcase at the end of the summer. So it's like, when are you relaxing? Like, what's beneficial? When is it overkill? Yeah. And there needs to be some changes. There needs to be some changes for sure.
I love that answer, man. I love that you were vulnerable enough to say, "I'm still trying to find the balance." Mm-hmm. I think that shows maturity. Mm-hmm. So, man, let's get into TakeOne Sportswear, man. I've been looking at it. I'm excited about it. Like, tell me what's the reasons behind it? What's your mission, your purpose, and what do you see that going in the next few years?
No, absolutely. I gotta get you some merch too. So, and I need some game related merch too. That's fire. That's fire, by the way.
I got you.
So, TakeOne is actually started by my god brother, and his father was actually my mentor, one of my first mentors, who got me my first job. Okay. And during COVID, he came to me. He was like, "Man, I'm about to start a sportswear company." And at our age, we hear a lot of people with ideas, but they don't have follow through. So I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, cool." So he started doing it, and just like how I started with the events, he kind of was like just going with the wind. Some stuff was hitting, some stuff wasn't, but he was learning. And then it got to a point probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago. He hit me. He was like, yo, I got some ideas with TakeOne. And I was like, I told him, I'm like, bro, why don't you just sponsor me and I'll push it? Because that was my little man. Mm-hmm. He's like, man, I want you to partner with me and be with me hand in hand with it. And I was like, man, I've seen your follow through. I've seen what you're trying to do. I believe in what you're doing. I know your mental makeup. I know your dad, what he put into you. It's gonna be success. So I'm the head of basketball for TakeOne Sportswear, and just for me, take one. It means take a risk, take a chance on yourself.
Hey.
And with that, like we've been able to grow the brand. What I'm really trying to do is focusing more on the athlete and not so much so on like selling product, right? I mean, we sell a lot of stuff and we're going to be a successful company. We've got some great things coming. But what I think helps us to navigate this space is it's never about selling something. It's about putting these kids in situations to be successful, right? So we've got this thing called the Rome series where we're just profiling local athletes. And people say, oh, how can I be involved with it? Well, for one, I look at the kids that I know their families, I know what they're about. They're about the right things, high academics, good people. You don't have to worry about them on social media doing nothing crazy. And I really feel like I can add the value. And so I think this year we have Cam Ward from who just signed Michigan State, Darius Bevins, Caden Samuels from Bishop McNamara, Prince Moody from Bishop McNamara, Nyla Brooks from Bishop
the man for two.
Jamal McKnight, Lil Molly, love Molly, and Nada Regala, and I forget the young lady's name who goes.
Is that the girl from Ireton?
No, that's Nyla.
Okay.
She the one, not the two. She the one. She's super like that. But really just telling stories and putting them out there and getting them prepared for the next stage. Because when they go to college, they're going to have to get interviewed. And hopefully, like you said, when people just see your stuff, and we talked about this off camera, people see your stuff and now they're kind of like taking notice of it from across the country. My hope is that for the kids that they can get something out of this. And with the product, I mean, just like anything, like Under Armour started in the basement. I think we're far past where Under Armour was at the same pace. Won't catch Nike. I don't think anybody's going to catch Nike. And I have a relationship with Nike. But we hope to grow it to a place where we can do some dope things. And again, the main thing is just to give back to our people and uplift everybody.
Man, when I see it gives me Slam magazine vibes. Anybody tell y'all that?
That was one of my influences, and I saw how Slam used to do the All American stuff, and I was like, I like that. I like that. That was sweet. Yeah. So that was one of my influences for sure.
Man, it's cool.
Good catch.
Man, I always say when you're my favorite line is what you focus on expands, right? And when you start like the activity of working towards something, like you're just going to learn, right? And the data is going to kind of show you where you need to go. Yep. And I'm listening to you from the training, like you were able to have a vision to see something else, and then once you got into training, like you had another vision. You know what I mean? And like I'm seeing your ability to see things in the future, and I think that's really cool.
That's
my gift. I mean, everybody has their gifts, and I can see it. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to commend you on that. So man, let's talk about you're wearing a lot of hats, right? How do you balance family time?
I got to thank my wife for that. She was the one who told me, like, you're doing too much. And I remember, I'm like, what do you mean? Nah, I've always done this, yada yada. I can do everything. She's like, you're stressing yourself out. I can do it while I'm stressed. Like I operate better when I'm stressed. That's when I'm best, when my back's against the wall. Then I realized, like, man, this is cholesterol's high, blood sugar's high, blood pressure's high. I'm not sleeping well. Always having these headaches. Not as organized as I would like to be. And then I think for her, she's like, you gotta. She didn't tell me I had to pick one or the other, but she was just like, I need you to prioritize home. And so after a certain time, you need to cut everything off. I'm like, man, what if somebody call me, man? A coach might call me, a deal might come through. I gotta be able to. And then she's like, I mean, what's more important to you? And I'm like, all right, man. So, but with that, I started putting my phone down at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Then I realized, things are going to move without me. I started delegating tasks more instead of me having to be everywhere. Delegating to my staff and interns, which allowed them to grow and allowed me to focus on different things. And that became easier. And then I'm realizing, like, wow, like, she was right. So I give to her. She was the reason why I've been able to start balancing things a lot better. I'm someone who, like, at times I used to feel like if I don't do it, it's not going to get done correctly. But understanding like my process where I came up, if you don't, like say, like we talked about, if you don't fail, then how are you going to learn? So I have to give my team a chance to fail. And I realized that I trained them the right way, and they just, I mean, they run with everything. So now it's the point I'm like, okay, what else can we do? Not can I do, can we do collectively? And that all stems from I have to give my wife, thank you, babe. I love you so much. She's the one that helped me balance out everything. But giving people like delegating tasks is how I balance things. Cutting my phone off. Like I have two phones. I have my work business phone and my personal phone. At night, like, I'll let that phone die sometimes. And just not answering every call, and just knowing that if it's for me, it's going to come regardless. So I don't have to chase everything.
You know, it's something you said, and I felt myself in your shoes a little bit. Growing up, we use struggle in being able to do everything as a badge of honor, right? But that badge of honor comes with so much stress.
Yep.
And there's a pivotal point in your life where you have to learn that, you know, like we always like to talk about how busy we are and how we prevail through everything, right? And I get that, right? But it's such a survival mindset.
Absolutely.
Right? And you have to flip that switch as a parent, as a player, like all these things in order to get to the next step. Because you're going to burn out.
Yep.
And when you burn out, you got nothing else. You know what I mean? I've learned that, you know.
I'm blessed to have my wife, man.
Yeah, man. So like now I felt you. I felt you 1,000% on that, man. And that's something that I think we all have to go through, and is part of your growth process.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wish I would have learned this earlier on, but I don't know if I would receive this message. I wouldn't have been able to do this earlier on, like my 20s, maybe even early 30s. You know, I mean, you know how it is. Like when you're goal oriented, and we grow up, you know, we grew up to not in the literal sense, we grew up to be like killers on the court. Like, you know what I'm saying? We gotta work hard. We gotta outwork the competition. Like we gotta be mentally tough. We gotta be able to not even manage stress. You stressed out, so what? You know, get it done regardless. You know, but that's not always the best way to handle things, especially when you have a family, especially when you have other goals and people that are depending on you. And like we get older, like we're like living in that survival mindset. We're not surviving anymore. So why are we still, and I'm talking to myself now, why are we still in that same sense of mind? You know, every phase of your life has a time and mindset. And I think, you know, for many of us, we don't get out of that survival mindset. And again, I got to thank my wife for helping me get out of that, which has allowed me to even continue to elevate. Because I was burnt out, stressed out all the time. Like I'm like going through having all these events and doing everything I'm doing, burnt out, not even enjoying it, hated it. I was just doing because this is what I do for a long time. But like we talked about when I was burnt out early on in my career and after college, but as an adult, just being burnt out and just wondering why, and you know, leaning into things like, you know what I'm saying, drinking a little bit more, having habits that aren't necessarily good, eating bad, and all those things relate to being stressed out and anxiety. And so learning how to manage those things and getting out of that mindset is key. I have no reason for pumping this, but everyone should read the book Super Healing. I forget the author's name, but it talks about Eastern medicine, meditation, the way visualizing like success, keeping stress away. That's so important. It's so important. And I'm 38 and just now starting to figure it out. So if anyone sees this and can figure it out or read this and therapy, go to therapy. Therapy helps. I promise you, it's changed my life. So I wish these are things that I would have done earlier on and been exposed to. But now I'm a huge advocate for all those things.
That's gonna be my next audio book. I'm hold me to that.
Great book, man. It's a great book.
I feel like we could have a whole separate conversation about so much other stuff, but I gotta keep us on topic. I'm like, damn, man, I feel the same way. That's crazy. So, man, let's talk about social media and NIL. You know, what are your thoughts on it, pros and cons, and Do you see TakeOne Sportswear getting involved in those lanes?
Okay.
So I don't know how much you could talk about it, but
I'll talk a little about it, a little bit. But social media and NIL, pros and cons. Pros, it's putting a platform on these players, giving them exposure to build their own brands, generate revenue for themselves and their families, express themselves in a way that's positive for the most part.
yeah,
Cons, also exposing these players, sometimes in a negative way, taking the emphasis off development on and off the court. On the court, like you're not working your game because you're doing TikToks like Jared McCain. No knock on him. That's his lane. But everyone can't be a TikTok dancer. Everyone shouldn't be a TikTok dancer. Everyone shouldn't have a podcast before they establish a brand for themselves for their craft.
I think podcasters should be for people who are not playing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen a player who does a podcast who has performed on a high level.
I think you're right. No, I think you're right. I haven't thought about it that way, but
football or basketball, I have not
right.
seen it.
I think you're right.
CJ Stroud, I love him to death, but he ain't had a great year this year.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Parsons, as good as he's been, and that's just on the football side. And you go to the basketball side.
Yeah.
Podcast P got more shows than games he done played.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So now you're absolutely right, man. I agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that. Just keeping the main thing. There's a time and place for everything, and not saying these guys shouldn't express themselves or give their experiences because it's very much needed. But keep the main thing. And these players, like on social media, they're just like the cameras and it's like the kid AJ DeBanza. I can't go one, and I'm a huge fan of AJ DeBanza. I think he's going to be one of the greatest players. He has the opportunity to be one of the greatest players of all time. Huge fan. But there's so many cameras following him, and I'm just using him as an example. You can say the same thing for the Boozer twins. You can say the same thing even locally. Like you go to a high school game, a DeMatha Gonzaga game. It's going to be 80 cameras, and you're like, who are all these people? Right? It's just too much. It needs to be regulated because it becomes detrimental to the student athlete. But as far as like the TakeOne and our role with social media and NIL, I try to use the social media. Currently, my strategy is just like use it to pump the kids. We'll put them and show them some of our product to show the public how superior our product is. It really is. Try it out. But the main thing is to give them a platform to help them grow. And we've got some stuff coming out, and you can talk to some of the parents. Like everything I talk to them is about like helping them grow on the business side of the game. Yeah. Like I'm not in it to try to make no money off your kids. And I think this is why these parents are like trusting me with their families and some of their allowing me on their journeys to their future. Just exposing them to certain things. Like we've done, I'll give an example. We did a photo shoot with the kids from McNamara, Caden Samuels, his sister Candace, who's amazing for us, sophomore, and Prince Moody. And I was talking to them about how to like talk on camera, telling them, smile, like show your personality, brand. Like what do you like to do outside of sport? Like I said, what's one of your hobbies? I like to hoop. What else do you like to do? Play video games. Oh, we got to say that again. Talk about what you relate to. Who's like, smile. What else you like to do? Oh no, man. Like sometimes I like to draw and sometimes I like to ride my bike. Talk about that. Oh,
right.
All right. You know what I'm saying? But just getting them to like think in a different lens.
Yeah.
But as far as the NIL piece, hopefully, we can get into that space where we can offer some NIL to players. That I would love to put money back into the ecosystem. But that's coming. But that's not my main focus, right? Because I think whenever you get people who are focusing solely on making money, those are the wrong people to be around.
I'll say that's when a bunch of other stuff started coming through.
Exactly. Like I've had conversations with people who were asking me, and I won't say any names, but there were some high profile athletes who we were going to have a part of like our Rome series team. And a parent was asking me, well, how much are we getting paid? Or like what is your strategy for generating revenue for exposure, likes and clicks for my kid? And I was like, no, I'm cool. Yeah. I'm cool. Like, 'cause that's not what it's about.
Smart move.
Yeah,
that's not change your whole business structure.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm cool. Like, no, I'm sorry. And then he didn't mean in a way that he was looking out for his son. And I get it. But in hindsight, this is me looking. I should have explained to him like, this is not that type of thing. Like, we're really just trying to benefit your son, and I should explain to him like, this is a project to help you guys craft what's going to happen down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a super close relationship with his father like I did with other parents, so they probably understood it better than him.
Yeah.
So that's something I just me thinking, talking to us now, my thoughts, I should have done that a little bit better. But whenever you try to make things about the money, like I said, it's not going to go well, and I've seen it firsthand. So that's why I kind of like, if you want money out of this thing, I'm probably not the guy for you, because I'm going to generate money for you. But if that's the first thing on your mind, if you see that, or you see me as, you know what I'm saying, a lick, I'm not that guy for you, because I can provide more value outside of just money than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, you thinking short term.
You thinking short term.
Mess up your whole outlook, man. It might be something that Brian can bring to the table 5 to 10 years from now that you really want to be a part of, but you so stuck on that short term stuff, man.
Like I said, I think long term. I really do. I think super long term, and I'm really, like, I've been through a whole lot on my journey. So I think, like, trying to be really careful and delicate with these student athletes and their families.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you can't see long term, if you can't do your own research on me to see what I'm about, then I'm probably not the guy for you. But if you can do your own research, and like how I'm researching these families, these people, and I'll go to these games before you even know who I am, and I'm analyzing, watching you. You know, if you can't do your own research, then I'm probably not the guy, because I'm looking to how I can help you guys long term without even looking for anything. You know,
Yeah.
and if you can't see the value in that, and all you're thinking about is, what am I going to get from you today? Go somewhere else then.
Feel that, man. I love this, man. Obviously, you have a vision, right? Where do you see yourself in the next 5, 10 years?
Next 5 years, you know what? I'm trying to figure out what I will say is, because I do have a plan, but I try not to talk too much about.
I feel that.
You know, I try not to give the secret sauce out. But if anyone who's known me, who's watched me come up, who's seen my trajectory, they probably know where I'm headed with this thing. But I would love to continue building relationships with Nike. I enjoy my time working with them. I see myself building this TakeOne thing really, really big. The thing that I'm really most excited about in the next 5 years is what I'm building with lethal shooter Chris Matthews. We're growing a really, really dope platform, and he's another person he's the biggest on social media, and he could care less about that. He's really, when he does stuff here, he really cares about the kids and uplifting the community. So continue to do stuff to build the community, building that platform. We got some dope stuff coming, so just keep building that out. I would love to continue to work with players and be a guiding light for this area, for basketball, not just for the game, but for everything outside of it. I got to give great credit to Chris Monroe for that. He was one of the first basketball players who kind of sparked me to be more than just an athlete. But in 10 years, that'll put me at close to 50. Man, I hope to be in Panama City somewhere, and, you know, just in a villa, living good. That's where I see. That's my long-term vision.
Okay.
That's my long-term vision.
Panama City. I like that. I like that. All right, man. So we got a game we play, man. It's called Either Or. Got some ginger shots, man.
Okay.
We on some healthy. You ever eat ginger?
I have.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna give you 2 topics, and you gotta pick one or the other.
Okay.
If you say both, we both gonna take a hit. I say hit. I gotta find another word to take a hit, man. All right, here we go. Coaching or training?
Training.
All right. Throwing networking events or throwing hoop events?
Networking events.
Okay. Confidence or skill?
Both.
All right. I got our first one.
Need this anyway. Need my ginger shot.
Yeah.
People don't know how good ginger is for you.
I eat it every day.
I need to get better at it.
I got tired of putting it in a smoothie.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, you know, you put it in a smoothie, but sometimes I don't want the smoothie. I want the benefit.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. St. James, St. Jerome's.
St. Jerome's, that was the time.
Yeah, I went to St. Mark's,
Okay.
so that was like our big rival. Man.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I went to Mount Calvary. I remember you playing for St. Mark's.
That's crazy.
I went to Mount Calvary. First time I saw
Okay.
you, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be doing this. First time I saw you was in the 8th grade, like the champions tournament that they had at St. John's.
Uh-huh.
That was the first time I saw you.
I think I got hung in that game, but that's a long time ago, man. Joe Sago was actually our assistant coach.
Oh yeah?
At St. Mark's.
Okay,
You know what
okay.
I mean? He done took that and ran with it.
Ran with it, man.
Yeah,
Ran with it.
All right. T-Mac or Vince Carter?
I'm gonna go with Vince.
That's a good one, man. A lot of people write Vince off,
Mm.
you know?
20 years in the league, man.
Yeah, all right. Ray Allen or Dwayne Wade?
I'm gonna give you both. Both of that one.
All right.
That was a tough one.
Yeah. They be skipping out on Ray, man.
Mm.
Young Ray with the Bucks.
Do your Googles.
Mm-hmm.
And Seattle, he was a killer.
Yeah. John Stockton or CP3?
Oh, that's a tough one. Just because they don't give him credit, I'm gonna say John Stockton.
Okay, I like that one. Dirk or KG?
Both.
Ah.
You killing me now.
All right. We ain't even got no water yet. You better than all
Man.
the guests.
I forgot I was back here. I'm glad you said it now.
And I shouldn't even say anything. All right. I got another one. I got an old school one for you. Ed Cota or Wayne Turner?
Ed Cota.
I love watching him play.
Hey, man, what?
Yeah. Dylan Hopper or Ace Bailey?
Oh, I was having this conversation with one of their coaches the other day. With respect to the conversation, I'm gonna have to say both. I was already talking too much. I'll tell you off camera.
All right. Yeah. Stoudemire, Sean Kemp.
Stoudemire.
Okay. Ant or Shea?
I'm gonna go Shea.
Okay. All right. Kobe or Bron?
Kobe.
Okay. All right. Well, I ain't gonna ask you the next one because I already know where you at with it. Okay. Respect or loyalty?
Respect.
Respect or love?
Respect.
Okay. I feel that. Why?
Because if you respect me, you will love me. You know what I'm saying? You'll show me the right thing. You'll do right by me. You know what I'm saying? If you don't respect me, you'll just do anything. And this is not just intellectual, anything. Yeah. If you don't respect me, you'll just, you know what I'm saying, whatever.
I feel that. All right, man. That was good, man. You did a good job on that.
Now, those are some good questions.
Yeah. All right, man. So we coming down to the end. What we like to do is just give you the platform. You've been given a lot of gems, but any advice you want to give to someone who's a player, a parent, maybe somebody who wants to get into an event space. You know what I mean? Just feel free.
I would say, man, we're blessed to be in the DMV where we come up around, like we said so many times on this podcast, great players, great coaches, great minds, great everything. It's literally in the water here. If you have an opportunity to do something, use platforms like this one to not just be on if you don't have the opportunity, but to gain the knowledge and information. Go back and watch the actual podcast, not just the clips. Ask for information. If you have an idea, like I started out wanting to do, just figure out, I wanted to do more with myself. That was the main thing. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do more. I wanted to be more than what I was in that moment. And that led me to getting out of my own skin and working on skills that I didn't know I necessarily had. I had an idea, I want to do an event. I just did it. Then I learned from it. And then throughout the time, like I realized that when we did the symposium, I wanted to provide messaging to people to help people. I wasn't great at public speaking. as you can probably tell in this podcast, sometimes I talk really, really fast. So I had to work on that to bring it back. But that was something that I worked on, and I was actually adamant about getting better at. Looking at things outside of the game of basketball, figuring out who you are as a person, look at yourself as your own personal business and mogul. If I'm someone who was able to do great things, I won't say great. I may do some good things in life, but that's just because I wanted to. So all these young kids and these parents out here, start thinking early about your futures. Stock market is great. High yield saving accounts, mental health, taking care of your physical health. Kids, leave the social media, put that down for a while. Read a book. I've since August, I've probably read 4 books. That helps your mental acumen, that helps you stay sharp on and off the court. Leave when you go to college and the pros. Leave the marijuana alone. Leave the edibles alone. Leave the vape pens alone. Leave the alcohol alone. Drink a lot of water. Go to church. Stay grounded spiritually, and go to therapy. Not saying you have issues, but it just gives you a different lens on life, seeing things from a different perspective, and just continue to try to grow. If you're always looking to be better and a little bit better each day, you'll be fine, and enjoy the present. I mean, a lot of these kids, you guys get caught up on wanting to be the best player you can be, or making it to the NBA, or making it to the league, and making it overseas. Enjoy where you are today, because where you are today, you'll never have that time back. That's something I do regret, like not cherishing the good times and the bad times, because like when you look back at it, they weren't so bad, really. You know what I'm saying? So enjoy that, man, and like I said, just keep working. One thing I heard from a coach that I used to coach with the McNamara, Karan Godwin, he always say, God first, work until. And I always knew it was a good message, but as I'm getting older, like it really, really, I mean, it always made sense, but now it really, really makes sense. So just work until, and best of luck, best wishes to all of you. I'm here as a resource. I think this podcast is great for the community. I love what you guys are doing. I'm a huge fan. I've been a huge fan from the first episode. I'm thankful for being a part of you guys' family now. I want you guys to be a part of what I got going on. And last thing, take one, get your merch.
I like that, man. Hey, man, this was a wonderful, wonderful episode, man. I felt like the message you just gave, I felt like I received it. You know what I mean? I got some gems that I'm gonna take heed to. I'm gonna definitely do that audio book. There's a lot of knowledge right here with this young man, man. A lot of knowledge, man. And I hope you guys take heed to that, man. Make sure you guys subscribe, share this out, comment, and like, man. And always stay game related.